Hey, welcome back to RTOD. We're continuing our clone series. Today we're looking at this Harbor Freight Quinn 10-in-1 versus this Klein 11-in-1. We'll talk about those differences in a second. But if you missed my iFixit vs. Quinn Pro Tech video, check that out. We'll have some links popping up and they'll be in the description below. This was really interesting, surprised me, and yeah, well, we're not going to spoil it. Check that video out. So we're looking at this multi-tool, basically, right? So basically you have the screwdriver with a whole bunch of stuff in it, and it allows you to replace a whole bunch of tools. If you watch some of my previous videos, I usually have this Klein somewhere on the table. I have a bunch of these. I keep one in my car. I have a couple around the house. I absolutely love these. I used to work in field service, and this was my go-to tool. And the one thing I like about the 11-in-1 is you get a bunch of stuff in here. So I'm reading this right from the website. It includes industrial strength, heat treated bits, 3/8 inch, 5/16, 1/4 inch nut drivers, number 1 and number 2 Phillips, 1/4 inch and 3/16 inch slotted, T10 and T15 Torx, and number 1 and 2 square. So a lot going on here, and surprise, surprise, the Quinn has pretty much the same thing, but they're only talking about 10-in-1, not 11-in-1. And I think it's because of the drivers on it. Doesn't matter. I'm not really cared about the features because they're the same thing. How does this stand up? Now, when I saw this in Harbor Freight, it was right next to the Pro Kit. That's why I got it. But I wasn't really surprised with the price. It wasn't amazing. It was $9.99 for this. When you can get your Klein on, let me turn around and go to my computer. If you go to Home Depot right now, you can get this for $14, $14.97. Personally, that's not much of a difference to sway me away from a brand name I know. But for science, we'll open it up. All right, we'll pop that out. And let's look at the business ends of it. We're not going to mix these up like the other one. Although, again, look incredibly, incredibly similar. And you get the same everything on it. So we're going to take a closer look at these and see what we got. Now, in my iFixit video, I actually think I got 2 of those bits confused. So we're not going to mix this up this time because I really do like my Klein. Okay, so if we take the main shaft out and we will start disassembling and see what we have. And it's going to be the same, right? That I know that. Yeah, look, it's exactly the same. Let's take a look at 2 of our bits. And they look similar. Actually, interestingly, see if we can see this on camera. The Harbor Freight, all those bits are labeled. Whereas on the Klein, they aren't. Let's, oh, magnetic bits going everywhere. Let's grab another one. And yeah, see, look here. You can see that this is a T10 and T15. That's the Harbor Freight one. And on the Klein, nothing is labeled. That's really, really nifty. I like that. Yeah, I actually like that a lot better. Nothing else is labeled on here. It doesn't say the size of these drivers, but that's fine. So that's actually a positive. And rather surprising. Yeah, every single one of these is labeled. That's really slick. Now, one thing I noticed when I was pulling the bits out, they came out a lot easier than the Klein. Now, mind you, my Klein is old. I've used this particular one for years, but these slid out a lot easier. They do have retaining ball bearings in them, but they still slid out. So that's a consideration. But again, if this was a $10 difference, I'd be okay with it. But really, it's just a difference of a couple dollars. So I would, I don't know, I would expect a little more. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to assemble this for both of these, and I'm going to use them for a little bit, just like I did with the ProTech, right? And I will report back and tell you what I think. Just feeling it, I like the Quinn in the hand a little better. It's a little more ergonomic. One thing I will say is the rubber on here, I mean, this is brand new, right? But this feels sticky. I'm not sure how well that will hold up in the long run, but it does feel nicer in my hand, but that doesn't mean anything until we start using it. So, Klein versus Quinn. We're going to go find some stuff around the house to take apart and see what we got. All right, so what do we learn? Well, they're both perfectly good screwdrivers that get the job done. All right. You know, it's nice that the Quinn's bits are labeled, but that's not going to make or break it for me. I'm not going to buy this over, oh, look, these are labeled bits. That's not going to do anything for me. And they don't even advertise that, do they? It doesn't even say anything about labeled bits. It just says what's in it. So it's not even a good selling point for them. Things I did notice, right? I was going to do a montage of me taking stuff apart and putting it back together, but it's screwdrivers, not rocket science. But a use case I have with these multi-tools, and it kind of goes back to my field service days, I keep this in my back pocket, right? Usually butt down, right? So I just put it in my pocket like that, and then when I need it, I grab it, and I'm good to go. When I do that with the Quinn, put it in my back pocket, and I go grab it, the shaft comes out, and I'm left with the handle in my back pocket. This happened every single time, and it's a mix of multiple things. The biggest culprit is this ball bearing. It just doesn't put enough tension on it to prevent it from being pulled out. It's enough that it won't fall out, right? That's good. But there were a couple times where I would drop this and it'd fly out, or the little bits would fly out because those ball bearings aren't strong enough. So culprit one, ball bearings don't put enough pressure on it. The two other things is this is a larger handle, and it has this grip pattern on here, so it just sticks in my pocket more. While we're talking about it, I thought this handle would have been nicer, right? It feels more ergonomic, but two issues with it. One, this rubber coating is just very sticky, right? Now, mind you, with Harbor Freight, quality varies between each tool, even if you buy them on the same day and they're next to each other on the shelf. Maybe it's a bad batch, but this handle is sticky. I don't like that. Another thing I noticed is this texture should either be the whole way around or not there at all, because as you're sitting here and you're spinning this, especially if you're putting a lot of torque on it, it feels weird in your hand because you get good texture, not good texture, you slip a little bit, good texture. It's not an enjoyable experience. But with the Klein, it's a very uniform pattern. Even where the name is here, it has the same spacing as the rest of these ribs. So as you're turning, even if you're putting a lot of torque on it, it feels the same in your hand the whole way around. So it's a much better experience. But hey, they're both screwdrivers. The bits on the Harbor Freight one are perfectly fine. I never had any issue removing anything from a flathead or a Phillips or a Torx or whatever. So they both work, right? But at the end of the day, if you're going to spend $9.99 on this screwdriver, why not spend a couple dollar more, $4 or $5 more, and get a name brand with, honestly, a long history? Klein Tools, if you're not familiar with the name, they're a really, really good tool brand. Spend a couple dollars more, you're going to get a better experience, and probably a tool that's going to last a lot longer. I see, because this is hard plastic right next to rubber, I see this separating in a couple years, especially if this got any sort of chemicals on it. It's probably going to degrade and fall apart. So, I mean, I'm not totally disappointed, right? It works. If you wanted a screwdriver around the house or to keep a multi-tool in your car, this would do the job. But for a couple bucks more, you'll get a tool that does the exact same thing, but will last a lot longer. So that's it. That's my take on this Harbor Freight first Klein multi-tool. Like I said, it's going to be a quick video. It's screwdrivers. We're not talking about rocket science here. Both are great. They do the job, but I'd spend a little bit more. If you haven't checked out my Harbor Freight first iFixit Pro Tech, check that video out. That's a little more in depth because there's a lot of stuff going on in here. But that's gonna wrap this up. I hope you enjoyed this. This is a little different than my normal content, but I like tools, and you know, Harbor Freight's pretty fun. I like going there. So if you like what we're doing over here at Retro Tech or Die, like, subscribe, tell your friends. We'll catch you next time.